Hi everybody, Joe Conkley in the shop. Today we're going to look at the elderly instruments instrument evaluation process. So I'd like to introduce Carlos Montserrat to you. Carlos has just finished up taking in a Martin guitar for consideration for buy-sell trade. About to finish off the paperwork. That's the first part. Come down to the repair shop counter, and Carlos and one of our other bro process fellows will get you started on the paperwork. And once we get that established, next process is for a repairman to evaluate. So whenever you're ready, Carlos, I'll be right in here.
All right.
So once the initial paperwork is done, the next thing we like to do is to have a repairman take a look at your instrument. And we want to evaluate it in any number of different ways. For starters, just to look at its playability. See if there's any repairs or adjustments that might need to be done on it to get it into tip-top shape. We also look at some of the historic aspects of the instrument, what the name, what the make and model is, any previous repairs that might have been done to it, how original the instrument is, all those things, so we can get a good grasp on the value of the instrument. If you want to set that case up here, Carlos. So what do we got here?
0014.
The 0014. Okay, so it's a newer Martin custom shop guitar, as it says right there on the case. And let's open her up here. It's got the nice Martin custom shop cover. Wow, fancy guitar. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to confirm the make. Obviously, it's a Martin guitar. And the model and the serial number. So when the Martin model and serial number are always on the inside block there. I don't know, can you see that? What if we do this? Get some light in there. Ah, I gotta turn my light on. There. So this is a custom shop guitar, so it does not have the model right on there, but it does have the serial number, and Carlos has already noted that. But as Carlos noted, it's a 00 size guitar. The easiest way to identify that Martin model is just to measure the width of the lower bout at its widest point to tell you what the size is. They usually, standard Martin guitar size is the D or dreadnought size. That would be the biggest guitar. Next step down is the 000. Next step down is the 00. That's this. And then down to a single O. But first thing, so once I've got the make and model and serial number, I'm going to evaluate the playability of the guitar and just sort of give it a visual look over. One of the first things I do is to sight down the neck from the headstock here to see how straight the neck is. I also use the stretch string. Skip one step. I want to make sure it's tuned up to pitch, and it is. I use the stretch string to see the adjustment of that, because when I sight it here, it's a pretty straight neck with a little bit of relief, so it's definitely in the ballpark. This allows me to get a much better picture of how the neck is adjusted, and that's pretty much right on. It could use a little bit of adjustment, but it's very close. Then I'm going to check the nut slots. I press down between the 2nd and 3rd fret here and look at that space between the top of the 1st fret and the bottom of the string. Looks really good. Pretty much right on from Martin. And then I'm going to measure the action at the 12th fret. Right on spec at the low E string. Oh, but a little bit high on the high E string. And so a little neck adjustment, but also I think we ought to take the saddle down a little bit on the treble side. As So you can see this is a vintage style long saddle, so that I can't really take it off the bottom. If I pulled that out and took it off the bottom, it would change this fit of that saddle right there at the wings. So I'm going to have to take that little bit off the top of the saddle. I'm going to have to maintain that arch that is on there, keep the low E string right where it is height-wise, take a little bit off the high E string. And another part of our inspection, tapping the back here to see if there are any loose back braces. Sounds really solid, as I would expect on a newer guitar from like this. I'm looking at the bridge joint, I'm looking at the neck joint to see if that is nice and tight. The fit and finish of this is very close to brand new. I'm also going to look to see if there's any wear, string wear grooves in the frets. That looks pretty good. So let me pull this estimate up on my computer and make a few notes here so that I can get this information to the all right, that should cover me there. So I've made an assessment of the playability and any other concerns that we might have, and that information is in our computer now, and I can take that information to the appraiser so he can take a look at what's going on. Steve is also doing a bro, as we like to call them, but basically an evaluation of the instrument. But you've got a Fender Strat here, huh, Steve? What? So definitely he's looking at many of the same things I have, but there are some big differences with the electric guitar. So certainly the playability and the frets and such, but a whole nother ballgame with the electronics.
Yeah, originality comes into the factor. It becomes a factor because all the parts are replaceable and interchangeable. So you have to go through and determine how original it is, what's been changed, if anything. People are constantly replacing electronics, modding, updating, doing everything that they can to try to improve or change the sound. When we get it, we evaluate the straightness of the neck and the truss rod, just like in a acoustic guitar. This one, because it adjusts at the body, you have to take the neck physically off, and when you do that, we also look at the markings on the back of the heel. So it has the inspection stamps, the name of the model, the person that probably sanded it, and then it does have a date on there, so we can use that April 5th of 2006. Truss rod's accessible, we can try that when it's off. And then in the pocket they also have dates. A lot of times you can tell whether or not it's original paint. You can see evidence of a repaint or refinishing. So there can be issues there. That looks completely stock. We already know that it is, but we also pull the pickguard up and look at the electronics and the body cavities. Sometimes cavities have been enlarged for larger pickups, like a humbucking pickup in the bridge or any of the positions. So sometimes this can be all routed out, and we don't know what we're going to find until we pull the pickguard off. This is all original with the stock electronics and wiring from Fender. Has the pickups marked for Eric Johnson model, mid, neck, and bridge. And so yeah, this looks completely stock. All the parts are factory original. Nothing's been changed, so that we document that when we write everything down. We write condition and originality, and then make notes of anything that's been changed or anything that sticks out as far as an anomaly that you know, it doesn't look like it presents as an original instrument. We have to make note of that so the appraisers can figure that out and price it accordingly and describe it properly.
So these are both quite new instruments.
Yeah.
The older the instrument is, the more opportunity and the likelihood that there's been work done to it to maintain it, but possibly to correct problems, and we're looking to evaluate that work so that it just to evaluate it on the whole, but also to make sure that any of the work is still done in original style, and any parts that have changed. So, you know, as Steve mentioned on an electric guitar, all the pickups and components that are screwed on are a little easier to change out. On an acoustic guitar, you can find a lot of bridges and saddles and frets and tuners, and all those things changed out. One thing that I gotta, thanks Steve, appreciate that. One thing that I gotta do here yet too is to take a look at the interior of the instrument. So I will get my inspection light in here, detune this string so I can fit my inspection light in here. And that allows me to take a look at the interior of the instrument with my mirror here. And the first thing that I'm looking for here is just the condition of the interior. Is there any previous work that's jumping out at me? Is there, any loose braces? The condition of the bridge plate. Is the bridge plate original? Are there any? Is there any crack repair that is going on? And of course, this instrument is quite new, so I see no evidence of any work whatsoever, and it all looks really great to me, and pretty much brand new. But the older the instrument is, the more challenging that can be. And all these things affect the value of the instrument and its sellability. All right, so this guy's ready to go back to appraisal. One thing I can see is they had their D'Addario humidipack in their guitar. That's a good sign. We've talked about humidity and the lack of humidity and its effect on guitars, and especially this time of year. Here we are on March the 6th, experiencing something pretty close to the polar vortex the last couple of days. So we are starting to see dried out guitars with problem coming into the shop right now, and probably another month from now we'll see another batch of that type of thing. So keep your guitar humidified. That's one of the reasons why this thing is in really good shape, is that the owner is definitely taking care of it. All right, on into the appraisal department. Hey, Steve.
Hey, what's going on?
We're showing folks in the shop about the appraisal process and evaluation.
Okay.
So I have just taken a look at this Martin Custom Shop guitar,
Okay.
and it's really a pretty amazing guitar.
It's
Great.
definitely a custom shop guitar. I
Yeah.
don't think this is any kind of standard model here.
So,
Okay.
as I mentioned, one of the first things to do is just to identify the model. With the Martin Custom Shop guitar, we need to see what model this custom shop guitar is based on,
Sure.
what it's similar to, and
Sure.
what are the changes and things that maybe have made it custom.
It's
So-
double O?
Yeah, we've identified it as a double O, just from the size and
Okay.
body shape.
Coal wood. Very
wood,
nice
so-
coal wood.
Yeah,
Look
pretty,
at that.
just spectacular coal wood. But it has a number of unique things that you don't see. It has a
Yeah.
herringbone around the rosette,
Mhm.
a herringbone around the edge of the guitar.
What's the binding? Is it rosewood binding? What's
Yep. Yeah, rosewood binding. With also just these purfling lines on the bottom of well, on either side of the body, both the top and back end of binding. The center strip on the back is pretty unique. It's not a standard herringbone strip, so that's
Yeah,
also
so
that's a number of unique things. So On a newer Martin custom shop guitar, we would probably go to Miss Cynthia Bridge, our Martin purchaser here, to have her expertise in helping us to identify this.
Let's look at one thing first.
All right.
Bring your camera over here. I'm Steve, by the way.
Steve Szilagyi,
I'm
one of
the
our
folks
appraisers.
in the appraisal department. First thing we want to do, you've already done it, I'm sure, is look at the serial number on the guitar. Martin, being the wonderful, organized company that they are, you can identify any Martin guitar by the serial number that's stamped on the inside. First thing we could find out is the year this was made. Serial number, okay, starts with 155, 7-digit number. 2000. I have a serial number chart on my desk here. I use this, dozens of times throughout the day. We get so many Martin guitars, and I keep that so my 62-year-old eyes can see those serial numbers. 553. Okay, so this is 2011.
Both Carlos and I had checked into this, and I wanted to see if it all lined up, but it does. We all agree that it's a 2011.
Cool.
Triple checked.
What are these Waverly tuners? Okay, cool. Waverly tuners, wooden buttons. Yeah, we're going to have to go to Cynthia. What we can do is, with custom guitars like that, it's always really helpful if the customer has the original Martin build sheet from their guitar. If they have that build sheet, we can look at that build sheet and see all the custom features and how they are different from a standard model. What we want to do is we want to find out, well, when we appraise a guitar, we want to know the price. We want to know what a good fair market value on this guitar would be. And the best way to start would be to find out, well, what's the customer going to pay for this guitar if they ordered it new from Martin with these custom features. And Cynthia can get in touch with the folks at Martin. They can give us the build sheet that has the build information on it, and Cynthia can check that against her Master Martin price list and see, well, how much would a customer pay for this guitar, brand new, if they ordered it with these features today. With standard Martin guitars, it's really pretty easy to figure out a price because their features are so standard and their prices are so standard. This is a very, very nice guitar in very, very excellent condition, really virtually unplayed condition.
Virtually unplayed, no fretwear.
You know, we don't use the term mint because guitars don't come from a mint, they come from a guitar factory. We don't use the term mint here, but this is what a lot of people would call mint condition, I guess. It's been played very, very, very little. Finish is really nice and beautiful. There's really no wear as such on the fingerboard. The fingerboard looks great. I think I see a little bit of a nick as I hold it against the light there. Tiny, tiny, tiny little nick below the bridge.
The condition of the playability is very close to brand new too.
Yeah.
Just minimal cost for a few adjustments. I noted that the action was a little bit above spec on the treble side, and it needs a little bit of truss rod adjustment. And so, yeah, that tells us what we're looking at on this guitar. But in general, too, you use a number of other sources to try to get to that fair market value.
Well, also, once we find out how much someone would pay for this guitar brand new, I'm going to look in our inventory first. I'll check on our computer because we have a database going back, decades of all the guitars that have been through the store. I'm going to compare it to other Martin guitars, other Coalwood 00 sized Martin guitars that have features similar to this one. I think we're going to find that this one's unique. I don't think we're going to find one that looks exactly like this one. But we can compare it to recent sales of other Martin 00 Koa guitars if we have any in our database. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do. In this, exceptionally nice condition. We compare it against that. We can compare it to, we can go online and compare it to what other dealers are selling it for. We have some reference materials like the Vintage Guitar Price Guide.
Oh, yes.
That, you know, we use that often. Although I don't think you'd find a guitar like this one listed in there because,
Not
again,
exactly.
it's a custom guitar,
Yep.
custom order. You know, it
Exactly
just
what's-
guessing off the top of my head, I think this is probably, you know, it's going to be a $3,000 or $4,000 guitar, maybe more.
Just what we're doing here is a standard part of this whole process. All of the elderly employees involved, from Carlos, who took the guitar in, and information that he has received from the customer about what they're interested in doing, and anything that they're able to tell us about the history of the guitar and what they're, you know, like I said, anything that they're willing to be able to offer us. What I see from the repair point of view and what I gather there, and then Steve from his vast knowledge of what instruments like this are selling for, and the three of us getting together and trying to hammer out some numbers for the customer. So usually where the customer might tell us, I'm just looking, they might be interested in just selling the guitar right to us, or selling and considering it for a trade, or consigning it. So we're usually looking at three numbers there.
Yeah.
A cash value, a trade-in value, and then a range for consignment.
If he was going to consign this guitar, it'd most certainly be within our 15% consignment range. That'd be our commission on that 15%.
Yeah, so we have a, depending on the value, value that we put on the guitar, there's that 15% can vary a little bit more on the lower end stuff, but that is the most standard. That's the answer to that question. How much do we charge for consignment's fee? 15%.
Nice guitar. Just beautiful, beautiful Coalwood guitar. Coalwood's got a real nice balance to it.
So at this point, when Steve feels comfortable with his numbers, he's going to put that in the computer, and then Carlos will come back in and
Those darn cell phones.
Carlos will come back in and take the guitar back out to the customer and convey all this information to the customer so they can, and help them make a decision about what they want to do with the guitar, from anywhere from just doing the repairs to, you know, selling it, trading, or consigning it. And once we come to that decision with the customer, sign the contract, and move it through the repair shop to get those repairs done, back in here to appraisal to get, and of course, over there at our photo area to get it photoed and ready for sale. And then the appraisers put that information, the evaluation information, the photo, and pull that all into a description that allows us to put it up on our website and put it up on our sales floor for your perusal. So this guitar will be coming out here. It's a coming soon thing. We'll be getting this one ready to go up for sale here in the very near future. So thanks everybody for tuning in the shop and viewing our appraisal process. Like us and share us on Facebook. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.